Friends, look at this, the little horn of Daniel 7, the Antichrist power. Let's get into it. The Antichrist war on time. Are you one of those people who can sense that the world is shifting? We see it everywhere. We see the unrest in our streets, in our country. We see the constant surveillance and the growing polarization of our society. We see the gap between the middle class and the wealthy getting wider and wider every single day. The Bible talks about wars and rumors of wars, but while most people are out there looking for a political villain or some far-off future Antichrist, they are missing the real controversy happening right now. In the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 25, it warns of a power that would think to change times and laws. This is not some figure from a dusty history book. This is a present-day threat to the very government of God. The Antichrist is constantly working to subvert true religion. He is attacking all of God's law, but there is one specific part of the law he attacks most of all. He attacks the one that deals with time. He attacks the Sabbath. Think about that. God's law is the only law he spoke with his own mouth. It is the only law he engraved with his own finger into tablets of stone. He did that on top of Mount Sinai to show us that his law is immutable. That means it cannot be changed. It is permanent. But another power has stepped in and claimed a different authority. The Catholic Church has stated, and I quote, "The church, by virtue of her divine mission, changed the day from Saturday to Sunday." Let that sink in. But let's read what God himself wrote. Let's look at the fourth commandment as it is stated in Exodus chapter 20. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. What God said, friends, what he wrote. Remember, because he knew we would be tempted to forget. He did not instruct us to keep any other day holy. The verse continues, 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. This means do all your secular work, your chores, our business on every other day of the week, but not on the Sabbath. Which day is the Sabbath? Look at the very next verse, friends. It clearly tells us in verse 10, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh thy God. Now, why did God command us to keep this specific day holy? Verse 11 gives us the reason. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Because God is our creator, the creator, he blessed the seventh day and hallowed it. That means he set it aside for holy use. The 7th-day cycle exists because of him. The Sabbath is the way we know that we are serving the creator and not some false god. Every week we're reminded that it was God who made this 7th-day weekly cycle. This is so powerful that Satan hates it. But the Sabbath is even more than a memorial of creation. It is what we call a covenant marker. In the book of Ezekiel chapter 20 and verse 12, God calls the Sabbath a sign. In the original Hebrew language, that word is ought, and it has a few beautiful meanings that help us understand why the Antichrist wants to steal it from you. First, it means a pledge or a token. Think of an engagement ring. The ring is a physical token of a promise. The Sabbath was indeed to be the visible proof of the relationship between God and his people. It is a guarantee that God is the one making us holy. Second, it is a distinguishing mark. In the ancient world, a mark showed who owned something. It was like a brand. By keeping the Sabbath, we are effectively branded as belonging to God. It shows we belong to him and not the world. Third, it is a banner or a standard. In the military, a banner is what the troops rally around. The Sabbath is a public signal to the rest of the world. It declares to everyone that we stand under God's authority and his sovereignty as creator. Finally, it is a witness. The Sabbath stands as a silent witness through time. It testifies to the fact that it is God who makes us holy, not our own hard work. The Sabbath makes an invisible covenant visible to the eyes of the world. This is why the little horn power in Daniel 7 is so dangerous. It is attempting to substitute the mark of God with its own mark. It is trying to change the very standard we all rally around. If you look at how the commandments have been shifted, the proof is right there. In many traditional catechisms, the second commandment, the one about making graven images, is removed or combined with the first. To make up for the missing commandment, the 10th commandment about coveting is split into two. And the Sabbath commandment, they have thought to change from the 7th to the first day of the week. It gets moved from being the 4th commandment to the 3rd. The times and laws have been shifted, changed, altered, just as the Bible warned. But that's not all, friend. How did we get so far from these truths? How did the world stop looking at these present day warnings? It happened through two main ways of looking at Bible prophecy: preterism and futurism. First, let's talk about preterism. This is the belief that most or all of Bible prophecy were already fulfilled in the past. Preterists believe the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation have already happened, mostly by the year 70 AD when Jerusalem was destroyed. If you believe the Antichrist was just someone in the ancient past, you won't see him working in your life today. Then there's futurism. This is the most popular view today. Futurism teaches that the Antichrist is someone who will only show up in the distant future, at the very end of time. If you're only looking for a future villain, friends, you will miss the war being fought against God's law right now. Did you know that both of these ideas, these eschatological views, preterism and futurism, were promoted by the same group of individuals? During the Reformation, almost all the reformers realized that the papacy fit the description of the Antichrist. And in response, Jesuit priests like Louis D. Alcazar and Francisco Ribera developed these new interpretations. They wanted to move the spotlight away from the Catholic Church. They wanted people to look either way back into the past or way forward into the future for the Antichrist. Anything to keep you from seeing the war on God's law happening in the present or within the confines of the church. Friends, the world is shifting, but God's law never changes. The Sabbath is his sign. It is his signature of ownership over your life. Don't let a change in times and laws by the little horn power rob you of the rest God created for you. Choose today to stand under his banner. Choose to remember what he has asked us never to forget. Friends, it is my hope and my prayer that you would look into the seventh-day Sabbath, God's 10 commandments, and see that they've never been altered or changed, and that you would make a stand with God's people. If you want to hear more content like this, you already know what to do. Like, follow, subscribe, all the above. And please, leave me your comments below. Love to hear from you. Peace. I'm out. I'll catch you in the next one. Of the Most High God above.